this is family today. As you started to come on, my heart just got warmer and warmer. I I have so much to tell you. This is a qualification meeting. I qualify for this fellowship. I qualify to be one of you and among you. I am so like every single one of you, no matter where you've been, how you grew up, what happened to you. We have so much in common. And we sit in a solution. And I pray every night that people don't give up, not just me, that they don't give up because it makes no sense in the beginning. It's a nightmare. It's a hurricane as the body detoxes. There's a million things to juggle. But look at us. We do it. And there's people on our meetings that have done it for 30, 40 years and they're thriving, And since I don't know what else to do, I might as well try this. So anyway, all of you in one way or another, I've gotten to know and care about. And there's two of you that I actually eyeballed in person because you came to the Paris Roundup, and that makes you even more real. And two of you I sponsored, and I love you. I love you, and I'm an awkward person in this world among others. I don't know how to relate to other people. Yeah, I do, but I have lived an unlived life in many ways. In the 12 and 12, it talks about either we sat on the shores of life. That was me, man. I wasn't going to risk myself jumping in there, even drunk and even 78 years old. And I'm living the life because I learned to live it a day at a time, free of toxic poison things. Probably my daily routine, I'm probably the most normal I will ever be in my entire life, except maybe tomorrow I'll be graced with the same thing, you know what I mean? And it all starts on my plate with my surrender and my scale and my fellowship. It starts with this list of food that somebody put together, divinely inspired, that will not hurt me, that will not set me off, that will not make me fat and crazy. Now I have to eat 3 times a day this food and in the right amounts, but that's okay. They road tested that as well. So why do I qualify for this? I'm just in tears, just tears of belonging. And let me tell you, that wasn't always the case. Belonging. I was, yes. So I qualify for this program because, and I've learned since I've been here, and my date of back to back is January 26, 2021. That's a lot of grace, isn't it? And I didn't do it every day. The reason I get to the next day was because I gave up and didn't have any creative ideas. Like, I'm going to do this again. Hope to God I can get through this. All parts of my meal are here. I double check it. I triple check it. I read labels like a crazy person. I take pictures of them with my cell phone and blow them up to see where the commas are. What we do. So what I learned since I got here was that actually I have a body that is physically different from the bodies of many other people, and that mine cannot eat certain things without consequences. Duh. And I've also learned that it took a long, long time for that to sink in and for me to want to do something about it. And as happens to many people, I got here like Cinderella, at the witching hour, I had no mind left, no resistance, no logic, just another attempt, another failure, another attempt, another failure, a good reason or good reason to not look like I looked. And still I couldn't keep it together and do one more diet. I was done. I was done like dinner. So some of the things when I came to the Gray Sheet, and the first time was 30 years ago. First, I got roped into OA because I forgot to get out of the invitation that my neighbor gave me. Oh, I found this wonderful thing, Overages Anonymous. Oh, what a name. Sounds like pigs in a poke. She goes, why don't you come to a meeting with me? Sure, I said, thinking, oh, God help me. I'm getting out of that. And I forgot. And if you think God wasn't working that day, let me tell you. So I go to this meeting, and my poor invited my hostess there, the woman that invited me, she got yelled at for giving her last name. And I thought, oh boy, me who doesn't want to make a wrong move and get into trouble since my birth. Anyway, I'm watching this like, oh, this is a minefield. And why are they all fat? But anyway, I was too. So like, where's the problem? So I'm there with this thing that makes no sense, and you don't give your name and you talk in tongues, and all right. Well, I made up my mind that I lived through that night. But you know what? It wasn't too long before I went back because I think I was in my 40s. I had more rolls than the Michelin tire man. I had
5 minutes.
crumbs. Perfect. Thanks, sweetie. I had crumbs in my hair. My clothes were either stapled or taped, duct tape, get the hem. I was just suffering terribly. I just couldn't get it together. And so anyway, I just went there to see what was going on. And I stayed in OA for several years. I learned what the steps were. I lost 40 pounds by eating 3 piles a day. Can you imagine? And that, I mean, that compared to what I was doing before. So I have a body that cannot eat normally and a mind that can't remember that. And I'm willing to try something, but it never holds up. So here we are. So I started in Overeaters Anonymous, and then I found that I was drinking. And when I was asked to look at that, it escalated very rapidly. And I couldn't stop, and I wanted to kill myself. So that was the second bottom, because there's bottoms and bottoms in recovery. There's always some new thing that's going to go to the surface because I'm well enough to handle it. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong. I'm doing everything right. It's time to face it. And I'm strong enough to face it. And the right people are going to appear to help me. I found that. So never be afraid when you crash and burn again. There's some new freedom that's coming. I promise you. So anyway, here I am now. I've stopped drinking. Now I really have, I would eat with you and I would drink with you, but I didn't know what to do with you otherwise. I mean, I had no idea. The big world out there of scary people. So anyway, here we are. I was bright. I was creative. I was a smart little thing. And I'm genetically probably like the rest of my family, they couldn't stop eating either. And it was a very strange environment where the one peaceful time of the day where nobody was, it was an atmosphere of impending doom. And my mother said if my father hadn't gone out fishing and drowned, that she would have divorced him. And back then you did not, in the late 50s, ooh, woman alone with children, you're doomed. So anyway, so we were spared that. And he was out of the picture. But the one thing we did, was eat together because our mouths were full and we were just, eating together. And we did a lot of that. And then I didn't need them. I just kept eating. So when I got to our programs, I had acid reflux. I had sleep apnea. I had a lifetime coverage in the French medical system for, I don't know what it's called in English, it's a colon that just decides to empty itself behind a bush or just without warning, and it was just, a nervous condition probably. So I have lifetime coverage. All these things went away when I got abstinent, all these things. And I ate like I was supposed to on the gray sheet. Now I look like I'm supposed to. I'm free of those conditions. I'm also free of about 90 pounds, but that, was the original concern. I was, just my bones were giving out, my joints were dead. There was nowhere to go. This is this time now, a couple, almost 3 years ago. I was just done. And so I wanted to talk about, some of this. I actually have some pictures because I did some work for somebody, but this will show you something. I hope you can see it. It's non-glare. This was on my birthday when the whole family came together, and I got to sit in a big armchair and nobody saw me and nobody cared it was my birthday, and all the old people were talking to each other, and I just sat there on my birthday. And here's another picture of myself and my brother, and we were quite plump. And that was probably one of the last times I was reasonably normal looking. But the dynamics were kind of strange. So here it was, my birthday, and I was invisible. Of course, back then, I don't think people knew. I had other things to show you. I played with stuffed animals because I related to them much more than dolls. I had therapists who once said, when children play with dolls, they act out the dynamics between them and their family. And I found animals much safer. I mean, what the hell happened to me when I was little? I mean, I have a pretty good idea. And I'm big now, and actually all that gives me an understanding and compassion for other people that were abused and hurt and neglected and ignored, and I've learned through my 12 steps and my 2 programs that I don't need to depend on other people. I don't need to assign them roles when they can barely get themselves up in the morning, that I am I have God living within me. I have a way of life laid out for me. I got people to walk me with it, and now what to do with those other people, I was a Girl Scout. I mean, I
Five
really
minutes left.
Thanks, sweetie. I'll go to here for a minute. This is the American gym suit. Can you imagine? When I was a child, I was already probably way over 150 pounds, and we had to go downtown and get the adult version of that. And I was never chosen for the team. You can just see what this does for us, whether you're on the thin end or the heavy end. It is just, it's quite, I don't have words for it. This is another picture of me. It's so cute. Look at that little sweet face. I was the neatest little kid. I really was, just trapped in the Sherman tank of a body. But, and I yearned to look at the waist on those little kitty clothes. They were not for me. I was taken to a special store. So anyway, and all that's just fine. It's just fine. I believe that suffering and salvation are proportional. And if I hadn't lived through that, I would not appreciate at all where I am today. And being an older person perhaps helped. So anyway, I'm in OA, then I get sober, and that's going along, and every day is fraught with terror, like, oh my God, what fresh hell is this? And I'm learning how to think and act and doing it, throw myself into it, surrender, and learning all kinds of things. And then I went to a convention and I saw a man weighing a cabbage. And that man became my GreySheet sponsor. And I spoke to him every night. He was in Sweden. I was in Paris. And I had 15 minutes. He wanted to hear my voice every night. He wanted to hear how I was. He wanted to hear what I was doing. He wanted to hear me. And I sponsor like that today. I don't text. You didn't eat by text, and neither did I. And, I hold those old values that man gave me 30 years ago when he gave me his time. And he passed on the Cambridge GreySheet to me, and he taught me how to read the thing. And he taught me the spirit of it. And when I said, Duffy, why aren't this particular kind of fruits on the GreySheet? And he said, Nancy, you're worth more than that fruit. And I knew we weren't going to talk about that anymore. And that was how we worked, kind and generous. And I met the man 4 times in my life. And he said to me, meet me in New York. We're going to the Roundup. And I went to New York. And this was many years ago. Well, this time on the GreySheet, nothing else was working and I was dying. I really was. And I was embarrassed to be carried out in a piano case or whatever. I just was. So I tipped into the GreySheet and found my ancient GreySheet and started. I hope I have a minute to just talk to you about, I love the GreySheet 12 and 12, but I was just going to say a word about the steps. I do step 1, 2, and 3 every day when I make my meal from the GreySheet. Don't play games with it. If it's a cousin of a dairy product, forget it. I want to see the name on the sheet. It just keeps my mind quiet. Otherwise, I start feeling shame and guilt and weird. So that for me is just like, so it says the 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, not financial, not social. If practice is a way of, thanks, Dolly. If practice is a way of life, can expel the obsession, enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. Now, I do steps 1, 2, and 3 every single day when I weigh and measure my food and commit it and eat what I committed. I can't even tell you, it's like Abraham taking his only son, to the altar and saying, God, if you want me to kill this priceless, precious thing, I will do it for you. This is it. I am giving my food to this program. And what comes back can't even be described in this dimension. And I could be done there. I love you all, and I'm so grateful that you're in my life. Just the right people are here today. Just my family, my beautiful people, no matter what.